Hello, Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and this morning I want to demonstrate how to make this card right here featuring the Illuminated Christmas set from Stampin' Up! It's in the annual catalog. Fell in love with it. Primarily because it really goes well with the Graceful Glass Vellum, which I used to create the card, and with the Painted Glass bundle, which was part of the annual catalog, with all these wonderful framelits that kind of go towards making these wonderful frames and neat kind of stained glass thingy bobbies. What's also interesting is that this framelit here, which goes with the butterfly, also goes with this little angel. It's the same shape. So these two, this set actually coordinates with this one. Isn't that nice? And then this over here, which is a poinsettia, matches with this piece over here, which was a rose. There's our rose, and here it fits with our poinsettia perfectly. So I really think that's kind of cool the way they coordinated this this set. I especially love the wonderful figures here of the three wise men and the saying here, "Wise men still seek him." I really think that's what really inspired me with the church window here that I'm trying to create. So to make this card, let's go ahead and get started. To make this card, you're going to need these stamp sets, the bundle, your Big Shot. You're going to need the Graceful hold on, let me take another sip of coffee. Oh, so good. The Graceful Glass 6x6 Designer Vellum. I'm also going to use the star, this large star right here from my Star of Light set. You're going to need your card in Night of Navy. This is 5.5 by 4. A layering piece 5 1/4 by 4, or 5.5 by 4 1/4. This is 5 1/4 by 4, and then this is Smoky Slate in 5 3 3/4, and this is the piece that we're going to cut. Now, you're also going to need some black cardstock. In the back of this black cardstock, you want to use the Sizzix adhesive sheets, because this is what we're going to cut our window frames out of, and they're going to stick to our cardstock. So you're going to need that. I'm going to take some of the vellum and we're going to color it, so you're going to need your stamping blends. I'm using some gold thread here and some gold foil to cut out my star. I'm also using, to add embellishment, is my Vegas Gold All-Purpose ink. And if you look closely, you will see the gold that I've put on my figures here to just give them really nice nice touch. And you'll also notice I put gold on these on my window, so that my window kind of has a little bit of a sparkle as well. Okay, so let me put these aside and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to color this, and if you watched my previous video, you know that I stamp and use my scan and cut, which I demonstrated And this is how I do my three kings. So we're going to go ahead and color our three kings and put them on our card. So let's go ahead and begin with the paper, our stained glass window. So here's a piece that is going to fit in this opening, and it is about 2.5 by 3.5. I'm going to cut it down, but what I want to do, and what you can choose to do, is you can basically color the entire sheet and then cut it down depending on the cards that you're making. The colors that I'm choosing, I'm beginning with the light Night of Navy. I'm using the light Real Red. I've got my darks over here. Let me get some of these pieces out. These are my lights. These are my darks. There's my dark. I'm going to use my Shaded Spruce, my Daffodil Delight, and my, I think that's it. Those are all my colors, just Christmas colors. So I have my vellum, and it's turned over to the opposite side, and let me just move in here so you can see. I'm using the light colors first, and then I'm going to decorate them, or rather embellish them a little, shade them a little with the darker color. I just have a little sheet underneath here to protect my work surface. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so let's put that aside, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to color our three kings. And I'm using the same colors. I'm using the Shaded Spruce for the first king. I'm using the Night of Navy for the second king, and the Real Red for the last king. Now this is the black, and here's the light black that comes in the light basic black, is what I've used to color their hair. Okay, so you'll need that color. So beginning with this first king, I'm simply going to take again my light Shaded Spruce, and I'm just going to color his entire vestment. And I'm going to color this little bottle right over here. And we're going to color the top of his hat and the bottom of his hat, or his turban. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing now with the light Night of Navy. I'm going to color the entire vestment. And the light real red. And I'm going to start with the turban right here and just color the entire vestment. And I'm going to color the bottom of this bottle right here. Okay, so now let's take our dark color. I'm taking the dark shaded spruce and I'm using my pen nib. I'm going to turn this like this so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to just color in part of the vestment here. I'm doing his collar. And then I'm just going to do these diamond shapes right here. And that's all. Take my dark Night of Navy pen nib, and we're going to color in his collar. We're going to color in a two stripes and two stripes. And I'm going to color in this side on either side there. There you go. Then lastly, our dark, and you kind of see where I'm going with this. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to color in the dark collar. He's got stripes running this way, so I'm going to color those in. And then I'm going to color in a sleeve. And I'm just going to take this down, color the inside, take this down, and then color the inside of his pleat there. And that pretty much takes care of our wise men. Now for color, I used this is ivory, and this is the color I used for their face. Some ivory in their little hands right there. All right, but we're not done, because now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my gold and I'm going to come in a little bit closer so you can see how I'm going to apply the gold. And I have my cap and my brush, and I'm just going to put a little bit, see my little tip there, and I'm going to go ahead and start on, I'm going from left to right, okay? So I'm going to add gold on this little piece right here, and you just have to barely touch it and this goes on. I'm going to put gold on his hat or his turban here. He is a king, so I want to give him a little bit of a nice turban. I'm going to add gold on these little squares right here. And here, the square. And that's that king. So this king has a crown that I'm going to color in gold. I'm going to color his entire vessel here in gold. And then I'm going to add some stripes, and I'm just going to go across. And you can do it this way. You can hold your brush that way, and it will go a lot smoother. And then I'm going to add a stripe down here and a stripe down his sleeve. Okay, then moving on to my other king. Of course, I'm going to do the top of his turban. I'm going to do the top of his vessels right there, and I'm going to color this whole piece in here. It's going to be gold, and I'm just going to do another stripe right like that, and I'm going to color the inside of his pleat there. All right, so there you go. I want to take my glass. I'm going to turn my glass like this. I still have my gold paint, and I'm just going to do these little dots here in my glass. And it's just really easy. You're just putting down a little bit of the gold. Now you could do this after you put the card together, but since I have my gold paint out, I just thought I'd go ahead and do it now. Okay. I had stamped an entire page. So here are all my kings that I have that I'm going to use for my other cards. Already stamped out. I even have some of these wonderful little angels stamped out for a future card here. So so this is how you get some distance with this set, and using your scan and cut. So I have my glass and I have my figures. This Layering Squares Framelit set. And what I did is I took my framelits that I'm going to cut out my I don't know if they call this a clear story. See, I used to be an architecture major. I used to know all this, but I think they call this a clear story. And to cut those out, we're going to use the black paper. So I'm just going to line them up right here. But to determine the size of what I wanted my glass to be is when I cut this out, it made this shape here. So I knew that this is going to be the inside shape for my glass. So I simply took that shape, and then I found one of my layering squares, and I laid my layering squares out until I found the size that I wanted. So this size would have been too big, but it would have fit well with this. So I went ahead and picked this size here so that I could put my glass right there. Okay, and this is the size I'm going to cut my glass out of. So let me just show you and lay that down. Oh, actually, I think this is the size. Yes, I'm wrong. Okay, this is the size that I'm going to cut my my glass out of. And I'm cutting it this size because it fits very nicely with this frame. Okay, see that? Okay, so I'm going to go to my Big Shot. I'm going to cut my glass, but I'm not going to cut my glass out of this. I'm cutting my hole, right? Because I want my glass larger than my hole because I have to tape this around. So I'm going to I don't want to get confused there. Okay, so this is where my clear story is going to go, and this is where my cutout. And when I measure this, it's about 1 inch from the bottom. So about 1 inch from the bottom is where my box, and this little box is about 2 1/4. Yeah, 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So that's what the size of our square is. 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to take my black cardstock, and on the back of my black cardstock is the Sizzix adhesive paper, and this lines up very, very nicely right there to cut out both my frame and my clear story right there. Okay, so let me go over and cut those out. So as you know, I'm using the Big Shot platform, the thin die adapter, and my precision base plate. I'll lay this down. Okay, so the first thing I want to cut out is going to be these pieces right here, and I'm going to make sure I have them. Yep. So I'm going to line this one here. And here's my paper. So my paper is going to go right in there. Perfect. So you see that? It's going to go right in there. Okay. So let's go ahead and put our paper on. And I'm going to just put my paper on the back like that. And I'm going to use good old Scotch tape. And I'm going to line it up. Okay, I'm going to line it up right there. And I'm just going to put a piece of Scotch tape there. There. Just on the edge right there. And I may have to trim this piece right here. Okay, so look how pretty that is. See that? There's our glass. Isn't that pretty? Get my die brush out so that I can clean up. So I can clean up my clear story. There we go. And I'm going to put this back in here. Lay it down and see if I can get this cleaned up a little bit. And it does work. There it is. The pieces are coming out. Okay. Now, what's important, or rather what you have to consider about these pieces here, is that sometimes they don't all come out straight away because they've got this adhesive back. So as long as the adhesive back pulls off, and it does, and it pulls off all the other little pieces That's really what you have to get concerned about. And make sure you don't have any of these little pieces dangling around. So now that will fit very nicely right here on our window. So I'm just kind of just moving it into place, and then I'm just going to glue it down. Okay, and then this is where the rest of our window is going. And I'm just going to, again, we're just going to pull that off, and you can see when you're using the adhesive backing, it pulls off the rest of the stuff, so you don't have to get too excited about getting all the pieces and parts off using your die brush. It'll come off for you. All right, so there we have our clear story. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this star right here, and we're going to take out our dimensionals, because now we're going to start using our dimensionals. I'm going to take a big fat dimensional and put it on the back of my, nope, big fat dimensional won't work. Hold on. Stay with me. I'm going to use a small dimensional right here, and I'm going to put it on the back of my star, and I'm going to put my star right here. Okay, then I'm going to take this big fat dimensional, and this is where the corner of where my wise man's going to go, right there. So I'm going to put this dimensional right here, okay, because he's going to go right there. Go ahead, I'm just going to leave that for now. And then I'm going to grab my gold thread, and that's off. So I'm going to anchor my gold thread right there, and I'm going to go 1, I'm going to go around this dimensional. Okay, I'm kind of looping this around, threading it around. I'm going to go across like that. Okay, so I basically have kind of those rays right there. So now, make sure this is dry. I'm going to put this one here, so let's flip this over and let's put a dimensional here on this side, and then I want a couple of mini dimensionals on the heads of my wise men. All right. Before I finish putting this on, I want to not forget to grab my white background, because I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put dimensionals on this. I want this to pop up a little bit because it's going to play against the white, whisper white matting and look like a stained glass window. So I'm just trying to get these here. Let me go ahead and take them off. Ooh, turn that upside down and put it on my, gotta be careful because that dimensional Doesn't have any sticker on it anymore. Just make sure they're all off. Okay. Let's bring this in. Lay this down like that. See, it kind of pops up and it lets that color. I'm going to bring these in. And I'm going to clip these rays right here. I don't really want those showing. And we're going to go ahead and that one's off. Let me take these. There you go. Isn't that gorgeous? So now all we have to do is to put this card on our piece of Night of Navy. So I'm just going to go ahead. Isn't that beautiful? Now let's just go ahead and get a piece that's cut at 5 3 3/4. Let's go ahead and stamp that, and I have my block right here. Beautiful. And there you go. So there are our Illuminated Christmas card made with the framelits that come with the painted glass and the painted glass vellum. You can go ahead and color any of the pieces to either frame or to go ahead and just cut this beautiful rose window design out, and it just makes a gorgeous card. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it. Sign up for my newsletter at stampartconnection.com. This is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. Happy stamping.